You may think the current economy is broken, especially the gig economy, where the income is unstable, no benefits, constant competition driving prices down. But what if I told you that more than 800 years ago, medieval craftsmen solved the exact same problems using a business model so powerful it dominated Europe for centuries? In the mid-1300s, while the Black Death was killing 1/3 of Europe's population, guild members weren't just surviving, they were thriving. They had guaranteed work, healthcare, retirement benefits, and a system that prevented race to the bottom prices. By the end of this video, you will understand the 3 core principles of medieval guilds that modern freelancers and professionals are unknowingly recreating today, and how you can use their 800-year-old playbook to recession-proof your career. And if you want more forgotten strategies that still work today, hit subscribe. We are building the ultimate strategies archive from history's most successful systems. Why does it matter now? It's because we are living through the biggest career disruption since the Industrial Revolution. 40% of Fortune 500 companies may disappear in the next decade, according to a study from All-in Business Schools of Washington University. And AI is eliminating entire job categories. The traditional career ladder is broken. But here's what you don't hear often. While everybody is panicking about the future of work, some successful modern professionals are unconsciously rebuilding medieval guild systems. Look at professional mastermind groups, industry associations. They are all following the same blueprint that kept medieval craftsmen employed for 500 years or more. I've spent weeks researching guild records from London, Paris and Florence, including original apprenticeship contracts and guild regulations, to show you exactly how this system works and why it's more relevant today than ever. Now picture this. The year is 1000 AD. There are no universities. Well, there are some, but not really. No corporations, there are no HR departments, no LinkedIn. If you wanted to learn a trade, you inherited from your father or hoped someone would take pity on you. Most people were subsistence farmers, living one bad harvest away from starvation. Work was brutal, unpredictable, and offered zero social mobility. A blacksmith's son became a blacksmith if he was lucky. A peasant's son stayed a peasant forever. There was no middle class, no career development, no professional networks. But between 1000 and 1200 AD, something revolutionary happened. Towns started growing, trade expanded, suddenly skilled craftsmen were in demand. But they had a problem. The emerging merchant class needed quality products consistently. Customers needed to trust that the food they were buying wouldn't get them sick, or that a goldsmith's jewelry was really made of gold, that a mason wall wouldn't collapse. And individual craftsmen were vulnerable. They competed against each other on pricing, driving profits down. They had no way to guarantee quality standards, no protection against economy downturns, no support system when they got old or sick. Meet the guild masters, the entrepreneurs who figured it out that cooperation beat competition. They realized that instead of fighting each other for scraps, they could work together to get better deals for their business. Guilds weren't just trade associations. They became economic powerhouses that oversaw entire industries, managed prices, maintained quality, and created the world's first professional development system. The turning point came with the rise of long-distance trade, when, let's say, merchants from Florence started buying wool from England to sell it in Constantinople. They needed reliable partners, not just any craftsman, but certified experts they could trust with large orders. Guilds realized they held the key to this new economy. Trust at scale. A guild stamp on a product meant guaranteed quality. A guild member came with verified skills and professional accountability. Suddenly, being part of a guild wasn't just helpful, it was essential for economic survival. The first thing guild did was solve the quality problem that was making individual craftsmen, let's say, just not trustworthy. They created the world's first professional standards. Take for example Florence, where the wool guild called Arte della Lana established different quality grades for clothes. Every piece had to pass inspection by guild officials before it could be sold. Members who produced substandard work faced fines, suspension, or worse, expulsion. But here's the genius part. This wasn't just about maintaining standards, it was about creating a premium brand. When customers saw the guild mark, they knew they were getting guaranteed quality. Guild members could charge premium prices because the guild had built collective trust. The London goldsmiths took this further. They created the hallmark system, literally stamping their guarantee onto every piece of gold or silver. For 700 years, the goldsmiths company has maintained an assay office in London for the purpose of assaying and marking plates. Within England, it is considered the oldest and most reliable system for the assaying and marking of precious metals, and it is considered worldwide to have set the standards for testing and marking of precious metals. What they did wasn't just quality control, it was the world's first luxury brand strategy. A London hallmark meant you could sell your jewelry anywhere in Europe at top dollar, if the dollar would be around. So individual craftsmen have been competing on price, racing to the bottom, while guilds competed on quality and reputation, racing to the top. But quality control was just the beginning. Guilds realized that information Education was power, so they created the world's first professional education monopoly. The apprenticeship system wasn't just about learning a trade, it was about controlling who could enter the profession. You had to serve 7 years as an apprentice, then several more as a journeyman before the guild would even consider making you a master. Here is what's brilliant. This created artificial scarcity. By limiting the number of new masters each year, guilds kept supply low and wages high. The Stoneworkers Guild in Paris typically accepted 10 to 50 new members annually, even when the demand was much higher. But they didn't just restrict entry, they provided world-class training. Guild workshops were like medieval universities, but with a more hands-on approach. Master craftsmen shared trade secrets, taught advanced techniques, and provided mentorship that you couldn't get anywhere else. Apprentices received room, board, healthcare, and guaranteed employment in exchange for their commitment. It was the world's first comprehensive professional development program funded entirely by the industry itself. The final piece of the guild strategy was pure genius. They created collective power that individual craftsmen could never achieve alone. When the powerful merchant families tried to drive down prices, guilds negotiated as a bloc. In 1378, the wool workers of Florence organized what was essentially the world's first industry-wide strike, forcing merchants to accept higher wages and better working conditions. But guilds went beyond just bargaining power. They created comprehensive risk-sharing systems. Guild members paid into common funds that provided healthcare, disability benefits, unemployment support, and even funeral expenses. The Germanic Hanseatic League took this to the extreme. Their merchant guilds created a mutual insurance system that covered losses from shipwrecks, piracy, and trade disputes across the entire Baltic Sea. Now merchants could take risks they never could have handled alone, because the guild provided collective backing. When a plague hit London in 1665, guild members continued receiving support payments while independent craftsmen starved. The guild had created the world's first comprehensive social safety net, funded by professional fees rather than taxes. The results were extraordinary. By 1400s, guild members earned 3 to 5 times more than independent craftsmen doing identical work. They worked fewer hours, had guaranteed healthcare, and enjoyed social status that put them above peasants and below nobles, creating Europe's first true middle class. Guild-controlled cities became Europe's wealthiest. Florence, dominated by 7 major guilds, became the banking capital of the world. London's guild-regulated trade made it the richest city in the Northern Europe. These weren't accidents, they were the direct result of organized professional power. The guilds had solved the fundamental problems of professional work: inconsistent income, race to the bottom pricing, lack of professional development, and economic insecurity. They had created sustainable prosperity for skilled workers that lasted for centuries. Guild systems dominated European economies for over 400 years. They survived the Black Death, multiple wars, economic crashes, and political upheavals. The only thing that finally broke them was mainly Napoleon and afterwards the Industrial Revolution. And even then, many guild principles evolved into modern labor unions and professional associations. But here's what's fascinating. The guild model never really disappeared. It was just underground and re-emerged in different forms. Medical associations, bar associations, engineering societies, trade unions, they are all variations of the medieval guild model. Even Silicon Valley runs on guild principles. Y Combinator is essentially a startup guild. They control access to funding, provide collective resources, and maintain quality standards. Or at least it used to. So what made the guild system work across different industries, centuries and centuries? 3 core principles that apply to any professional field. Principle 1. Collective quality standards create premium pricing. Instead of competing on price, guild members competed on certified quality. This allowed everyone to charge more while building customer trust. A modern example, Apple's App Store approval process creates perceived quality that lets developers charge premium prices. Principle 2. Controlled access creates artificial scarcity. By limiting who could enter the profession and setting high standards, guild kept supply low and wages high. Modern example, medical schools deliberately limit enrollment to maintain doctor scarcity and high wages. Principle 3. Risk sharing enables bold action. Individual professionals can't take big risks, but collectives can. Guild members could pursue larger projects and weather economic storms because they had group backing. Modern example, Hollywood talent agencies pool resources to compete with studios. These principles are being rebuilt everywhere, often unconsciously. For example, creator economy guilds. Mr. Beast's creator collective shares resources, maintains quality standards, and negotiates better deals than individual YouTubers could get alone. Or professional masterminds. High-level entrepreneur groups like YPO and EO function as modern guilds. Exclusive membership, knowledge sharing, collective problem solving, and mutual support systems. Industry coalitions. The Motion Picture Association basically functions as a modern guild for major studios. They set industry standards, lobby collectively, and share anti-piracy costs. Freelancer collectives, design agency, consulting consortiums, and developer cooperatives are recreating guild models to compete with larger firms while maintaining individual flexibility. Now, before we go further, I want to say this. The practices the guilds employed ended up being unethical eventually, and it benefited only its members, not the customers, not the other professionals in their industry, nor the society in general. However, a moderate, ethical and fair approach can benefit you in the long run. So, with that being said, here is how you can apply guild principles to your career today. Step 1. Find or create your professional tribe. Join or start a group of professionals in your field who meet regularly, share knowledge and support each other's growth. This is your modern guild. Step 2. Establish collective standards. Work with your group to define what quality looks like in your industry. Create certifications, best practices or standards that separate you from amateur competition. Step 3. Share resources and risks. Pool resources for expensive tools, training or marketing. Share leads and opportunities. Create support systems for when individual members face challenges. A fair warning, like medieval guilds, this only works if members are genuinely committed to collective success over individual advantage. One selfish person can destroy the trust that makes everything work. So here's what we learned. Quality over price. Medieval guilds prove that competing on standards instead of costs creates sustainable prosperity. Artificial scarcity works. Controlling access to your profession through standards and training keeps wages high. Collective power beats individual effort. Risk sharing and group negotiation achieve what solo professionals never could. This shows us that the future of work isn't about individuals competing against each other. It's about professionals organizing collectively to create mutual prosperity. The gig economy's problems aren't new, and neither are the solutions. What I want you to do right now is to think about your industry. Who are the other professionals you could team up with? What standards could you collectively establish? What resources could you share? The medieval guild playbook is sitting there, waiting for you to use it. Drop a comment and tell me, what modern guild do you think is most successful at implementing these principles? Are you part of any professional groups that function like guilds? And what industry do you think needs guild-style organization the most? If you want to keep building your strategies archive with more forgotten systems that still work today, subscribe and hit the bell button. From time to time we dig into another historical blueprint that can transform how you think about success. Stay tuned, as in the next episode we will talk who got rich during the Great Depression and how. See you then.